What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for The Promised Neverland Season 2. This is episode 11, also the not only the season finale, but as well as the series finale. And with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
It's hard for me to really comprehend. It's like whether or not it's like this is really the end of everything that they built up like since the series started. Well,
the way this episode plays out, it really feels like that's what they were trying to do with this episode. I mean, it was pretty much our worst fears confirmed. This is the end, I think.
Yeah,
albeit a very, very rushed way to end things.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, they just brushed through so many different things like way too fast. Like
Peter Rattray's backstory.
Rattray's backstory was, was just blasted through like immediately as soon as the episode started.
I seriously didn't have time to really like understand half of what it was about. So what I got from it was his brother. They actually go over James Rattray, which they don't mention at any other point. They might have at one point in this season, but he's not as important a character as he is like in the manga, because in the manga, as we find out, James Rattray is William Minerva. Here they don't really go into that as much, and they go into it here though.
I mean, they do mention that James Rattray did end up becoming Minerva, helping out the different farms with the other kids and all the other stuff. But then, and then of course, like it gets like, of course, Peter doesn't agree with what his brother is doing, so he arranged for his brother to be assassinated, and immediately, like, of course, like he mourns over his death, and like he just pretty much takes it upon himself to to carry on the legacy of whatever this promise was, that they made like thousands of years ago or whatnot.
Yeah, they go more into the promise, which they should have done more earlier in the season, but yeah, they finally talk more about it here, but it's just like, well, it's too little too late. I mean, they talk about it at like the very end of the season, basically.
Yeah, and
so it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, and also the fact that Emma, once again offers, Peter a chance to live in the human world, but he didn't.
For a second, I seriously thought he was going to do it, and I thought that would be even worse than what he does end up doing, because I pretty much called what Peter Rattray does end up doing in this episode. At first, I thought he was going to try to kill like one of them, like take them with him or whatever, but he just kills himself. He pulls out a knife and he slits his own throat.
Yeah,
and. Strangely enough, I don't know if you noticed this, but after he throws away the knife, there's no blood on the knife.
Yeah.
When they focus on the knife, there's no blood on it.
Maybe it's stainless steel. Who the fuck knows? I mean...
yeah. But yeah, he just bleeds out, and that's pretty much how the main villain dies. He kills himself.
And then of course, they head downstairs right to where the gate to the human world is, and then they just open it with a pen they were given, simple as that. Then
before this, I think we should mention Isabella at first doesn't seem to want to go back to the human world, and I guess she wants to stay there, but Emma convinces her that she should go. Well, actually no, Ray convinces her that she should go and live a new life there, I guess.
Yeah, and well,
I was kind of disappointed at one other thing too. They don't really like she knows that Ray is her biological son and all that, but we don't really get any sort of follow up to that at all. Like, she just kind of leaves, and I don't know. I kind of was hoping that we might get something more about that, but no.
Yeah, and then of course, her and the other mothers decide to go with them down to where the gate is, and of course they open the gate. They all go through it, with the exception of Emma, Ray, and Norman, and I think was the 4 Lambda kids stay behind in order to pretty much just I guess help out in the demon world to help change. I guess change their society for the better with Muchika's help.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, aside from Peter Rattray, there's still the Demon Lord and all that, and I was just like, how are they going to deal with how are they going to deal with that? Because I'm assuming the Demon Lord probably has like a whole army or something. Like, how are they going to fight him?
Well, yeah, but of course, you know, they do end going. The kids end up going their separate ways, and then we're treated to this this quick montage of what happens. Like, pretty much, you know, it's hard for me to explain this. It's
well, I mean, we get a montage of. I think first we get a montage of the kids going to the human world, and you know, you might be expecting that it wouldn't be so easy for kids that just crossed over from that gate into the human world, who people might know that they came from somewhere else or something based on the way they're dressed and all that. But nobody, it's just like none of the humans that live there really question them. It seems like based on the montage, they just kind of accept them and they just live normal lives there. And we just get like basically a quick montage of all of that. All the kids basically, I guess, over, I don't know how many years, but over the years, basically like growing up there and pretty much just living normal lives. And apparently we also get some things with the mothers just living normal lives there, including Isabella. I mean, it's nice, but it's just like I said before this recording, it's all just unearned. Like, I would feel differently if we had all properly built up to this, but it just feels like it's just, you know, I just don't really feel anything watching it. And also just because it's just gone through so quickly, it's also rushed that it's like there's still so many questions about, like, okay, like I mentioned before, why did they just easily cross over and the humans are just seemingly okay with it, you know? I mean, because I would assume they had some deal with the demons and all that, and just for them to all of a sudden find out that the like that's kind of just broken down on the other side of the gate, like, you know, how would they react to that? Would they just all of a sudden be okay with it, or would they not be okay with it? Like, you know, we just don't get answers to any of those questions.
Yeah, and then there's even more montages featuring Emma, Norman, and Ray doing what they're doing over on the, you know, at the demon world side, and it just blasts through like everything apparently what they were trying to do in that world. Like we see we see them exploring different places of that world. Apparently Mujka ends up becoming some kind of queen over there. Supposedly maybe she used her blood to help change the demon society for the better or something. And then, you know, at the end of the episode, we see, you know, Emma and the others like reuniting with the kids on the other side of the gate, and supposedly they have a happy ending now. That's it.
Yeah, they pretty much just rushed all the way to that ending, and that's it. Like, yeah, they this episode had, like with all the other episodes, it still had the opening animation, it still had the ending animation, like it were just any other episode. Like, this isn't just the last episode of the entire series. Like, you would think that they would dedicate more time to it, but no. This is just 22 minutes long, and it's even included the opening and ending animations. So that's pretty bad. Like, I mean, it's just like coming from a show like Re:Zero 2, which actually dedicates more time to trying to properly like adapt the story. It's just it's so crazy just like watching this series, and just it's like the polar opposite. They just don't care, and you can, it's so obvious they just did not care. They just wanted to get this over with when you watch this episode, because it's like they just wanted to get to the end, and I mean they did, but nothing makes sense. Like that's the problem.
I mean, this is not the way that we really wanted them to end this show. It's just like,
and it's just too, it's all just too, everything was too easy, everything was too convenient, and the way this ends, it's just like, it's just one of those happy endings it's all just like metaphorically wrapped up in a nice bow, you know, everybody made it out okay, you know, and I mean, I'm fine with those endings, but it has to make sense, and this just kind of, it just doesn't make sense. Like, none of it does, and it's just, it just contributes to what I was saying. Everything was just way too easy for all the characters. It just felt like there was no stakes. Like, nobody really died except for some of the demons and Peter Ratchery himself. And just the climax was just really quick and disappointing. And then the ending is just also very quick and just a cliche happy ending. Now, I know the manga apparently has a similar ending, but I'm pretty sure that's at least 1,000 times better than whatever this was supposed to be. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's not really much else to say about it, unfortunately. Like, I thought there would be a little bit more to talk about, but the episode just really doesn't give us much.
There's nothing else to talk about. This is it.
Yeah, it's a very rushed finale, and I mean, we still just have so many. It feels like there's so many unresolved plot lines and so many unanswered questions, but we can't. But that's it. There's nothing else, and so we're never going to get answers unless, of course, like I said, you need to go read the manga, because the anime is not going to give it to you.
I mean, unless they're gonna slip in some kind of random movie or OVA announcement later that explains what happens in the epilogue.
It's possible, but I find it very unlikely. It's like people who want a Brotherhood version of this. I also find that pretty unlikely, unfortunately. I would want it to happen, but I just don't think it will.
I just don't know why they would go to this direction, even though the story officially ended summer of last year.
Well, to be fair, that is part of the reason, because they, as we know, the anime is typically like kind of like made to promote the manga. The manga's over, so they don't prioritize it as much, I guess. So this is what they decided to do with it. It sucks,
but the reason why people want, like stories adapted from novels or the manga is just to see their favorite stories, like, just come to life on screen. But not in this manner, like in just the way they did it. It just doesn't feel right. I mean, I can understand if they only did an anime original ending, if the source material wasn't finished at the time. This is a different situation in which the story's already finished, but they chose to go in a direction which nobody wanted.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. It's disappointing because the series started so strong, and then it's like, I'd recommend watching the first season, but season 2, I can't recommend. I would just say avoid it. I would say watch season 1 and then pretty much just pick up the manga from there, because there's no point in watching past that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not really anything else to say about this. It's probably going to be a pretty short review because, the episode we got, there's just really, the latter half of it is just a bunch of montage, so not too much to say about that. And I mean, the last scene is just very quick, and then we, like I said, like it was just another episode. We just get the ending animation, the ending song, no after credits, nothing. So it's very obvious to me, at least, that they just wanted to get this over with. That is pretty much the feeling I got throughout this entire, more so the latter half of this season. So yeah. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say. It's unfortunate that this series kind of turned out this way, because, like I said, it had a very strong start and people wanted to, were enjoying they really enjoyed the first season, and they really dropped the ball with season 2.
Yeah, so. I mean, I thought they were, I thought it was going good up until the point where they revealed Norman out of nowhere, and then that's when things just went downhill from there.
That's the thing. I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt when it first started, because I was assuming that maybe these anime changes would be for the better, considering people were disappointed with some things they did in the manga. But apparently that wasn't really the intention of why they made these changes. And really, it's these changes don't really add anything to the story in the first place. That one, the blind demon or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pointless. And then just Norman showing up early. All it's done, really, the only reason these changes are made is just to pretty much just fast track the story to its conclusion. Norman showing up earlier, the blind demon, he's there because of his special blood. Norman shows up earlier so he can move the story along quicker. Isabella becomes the villain again. I don't really know why they did. I mean, I don't know, but it's pretty much everything, it seems like, is in service of them just totally rushing all the way to the end, which is pretty much what this whole season did. But yeah, unfortunately, I just don't really have anything else to say about it. I mean, I guess if I were to review this entire, give this whole, basically just my brief summary, or just, my brief score of this season, I guess I would have to say this is for me, this is a 4. Like, I mean, I will say the animation is, for the most part, pretty good. The art's good. Music is good, but everything else, well, voice acting is great too, but everything else is just really not, it's just not good. Like, you know, and it's like, it might look good, but the story itself and the characters are just not there. And if that's the case, I just can't rate it that highly. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what my overall rating for it. I don't know what you would give it in terms of score.
I mean, I personally, I said last week that I would give this a 3. I still stand by that score.
Yeah, I would debate between a 4 or 3. It's between a 4 or 3 for me. I mean, it's just bad. Like, that's the only thing you should take away. It's not good. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this. I don't know if you have anything else to say about this episode.
I mean, we'll just have to, you know, I mean, just get past this and, you know, just move on to something else at this point. Unless they're planning on, like, really faithfully adapting this story more properly than what we got. I mean, I'd be fine with it. It's just, it's just time to move on from this from now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that all being said, I guess until next time, we will see you all later.